Have you ever wondered why certain spiritual practices seem to shift your state instantly, while others leave you stagnant? Why, despite meditating, journaling, or chanting mantras, your internal world often remains unchanged? The truth may lie not in what you're thinking, but in what you're not moving. At the very base of your spine rests a bone whose potential is overlooked by nearly all modern approaches to self-transformation, the sacrum. This video isn't about mysticism or blind belief. It's about real, grounded practices, backed by ancient wisdom and emerging science. You're about to discover 5 precise movements that stimulate the sacrum, a region that, when activated, can shift your consciousness, elevate your energy, and align your entire being. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Mental Dose channel and join our Telegram community, where you'll get early access to new videos and insights on personal and spiritual growth. Now let's get started. The sacrum is more than just a bone. Anatomically, it is a triangular-shaped structure at the base of the spine, connecting the lumbar vertebrae with the pelvis. But its historical and energetic significance runs deeper. The name sacrum derives from the Latin os sacrum, meaning sacred bone, a designation given by ancient anatomists who recognized its spiritual importance. In Egyptian mysticism, the sacrum was the invisible foundation of the Djed pillar, a symbol of stability and spiritual resurrection. In Mesoamerican Toltec traditions, the movement of the pelvis was seen as the drumbeat of consciousness. Hermetic texts describe this area as the physical gateway for manifestation. Even in Stoic philosophy, figures like Seneca emphasized the need for bodily harmony as the basis for mental clarity. And in Taoist inner alchemy, the sacral region corresponds to the lower dantian, the seat of vital life force, or qi. As we transition from ancient insight into modern understanding, science is now catching up with what these traditions have long preserved. Modern research validates the deep wisdom carried in ancient practices. Movement of the sacrum, it turns out, directly influences the nervous system and biochemical flow within the body. Somatic neuroscience, led by figures like Bonnie Bainbridge-Cohen, reveals how conscious pelvic motion regulates cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, stimulates the vagus nerve, and restores balance to the autonomic nervous system. This vital fluid nourishes and protects the central nervous system. When the sacrum moves, it pumps it upward, enhancing neural communication and activating higher brain centers. Simultaneously, the vagus nerve is stimulated, which lowers stress hormones, improves digestion, and increases emotional resilience. Before diving in, it's essential to understand how the sacrum functions not just as a spiritual symbol, but as a biomechanical foundation. The sacrum forms the keystone of the pelvic girdle, connecting to the ilium at the sacroiliac joints. These joints are designed to be strong yet subtly mobile, transmitting force between the spine and lower limbs. When movement is restricted in this area, due to trauma, prolonged sitting, or emotional bracing, the entire kinetic chain is affected. Dysfunction here doesn't just cause back pain. It alters posture, compresses breath, and disrupts vagal tone. The diaphragm and pelvic floor operate as a pressurized system. Movement in the sacrum impacts respiratory efficiency and even voice tone. Researchers in somatic psychology have linked these areas to trauma storage, especially in cases of dissociation or freeze response. Releasing the sacrum through intentional movement can thus be seen as both a neurological and emotional unlocking, an embodied return to safety and coherence. This is not about belief. It's about direct, physical access to inner transformation, and the movements you're about to learn are keys to that access. But theory alone doesn't open the door, movement does. Now that we've explored the foundations, it's time to return to the body, to move with awareness, to feel what the mind cannot explain. because only in motion does the sacrum begin to speak, and now it's time to feel it for yourself. These are the 5 movements that awaken the sacrum and realign your system from the ground up. Each movement introduced here is designed to work with your body's innate intelligence. You don't need flexibility, strength, or prior experience, just presence and willingness. These movements are subtle, ancestral, and encoded in your body. First, the horizontal 8. Standing with knees slightly bent and feet hip-width apart, begin making a figure 8 motion with your hips. This loosens the psoas and releases deep-seated tension. Next, the vertical pelvic wave. By tilting the hips forward and back in a fluid rhythm, you stimulate the sacropineal axis and initiate upward energy flow. Now, lie down for the silent inner spiral. With feet flat and eyes closed, visualize a slow spiral turning deep in your pelvic bowl. Then, practice rhythmic breath pulsation. Place hands on your lower belly, breathe deeply, and gently pulse the pelvic floor with each exhale. Finally, stand and initiate the full-body spiral awakening, a slow, spiraling movement from hips to crown, integrating your spine into a wave of embodied coherence. With the sacrum now in motion, you may begin to feel something shift, subtle but undeniable. Before we go on, if this video is helping you see things more clearly, consider sharing it with someone who needs it. And if you'd like to support this kind of thoughtful content, you can click the thanks button below. Your support truly helps. Now, let's continue. What happens when you move the body with presence? A silent language awakens, one that doesn't speak in words, but in rhythm, charge, and memory. These movements are not just physical, they are neurochemical, emotional, and even existential. They tap into layers of your being that words cannot reach. As Joe Dispenza has shown, combining movement with intention reorganizes brainwave states and catalyzes neurological shifts. Neuroscientist Candace Pert declared the body to be the subconscious mind. That means your story, your blocks, and your potential are stored in muscle, fascia, and bone. This understanding isn't confined to esoteric circles. In Afro-diasporic traditions, spiritual power is rooted in rhythm and hips. In Taoism, alchemy begins in the lower abdomen. In Stoicism, presence starts with posture and breath. All point back to the same truth. The body is not a shell. It is a gateway. You don't need to force alignment with the universe. You only need to return to where energy begins, your base. The sacrum is the first bone to form in the fetus and the last to decompose after death. It holds the record of your physical journey and the potential of your energetic one. By moving it with awareness, you don't just feel better, you begin to vibrate differently. You communicate a new signal to reality, and in that communication, life responds. So take this not as a practice to try once, but as a path to return to daily. Let it be the way you reconnect with your own foundation. The sacrum isn't just a bone, it's a code. And when you move it, you remember. If this resonated with you, leave a comment below and write, "When I move the sacrum, my reality responds." Subscribe to the Mental Dose channel for more grounded, transformative content. And above all, keep moving. Because when the base is awake, the universe has somewhere solid to meet you. Because the real shift doesn't start in thought, it starts in motion, and it begins at your base.